Watch a toddler run straight toward a steep drop. No hesitation. No second thoughts. Just full speed, arms out, completely unaware that gravity is about to win. Now watch a 10-year-old at the edge of a diving board. Knees locked. Eyes wide. One foot inching forward, then pulling back. The same child who once sprinted toward traffic without blinking is now frozen by a swimming pool. Something changed. Something dramatic. And the answer is not what most parents assume. It is not about experience. It is not about past injuries. It is not even really about fear. It is about a transformation happening deep inside your child's brain, a shift so fundamental it rewires how they experience the world. And once you understand it, you will never look at your fearless toddler, or your suddenly anxious 10-year-old, the same way again. Here is what almost no one tells you. The human brain is not born with a fully functioning fear system. It is built. Piece by piece. Year by year. And the architecture that gets constructed along the way explains almost everything about why your child changes from a daredevil into a warrior seemingly overnight. Your brain has a small, almond-shaped structure called the amygdala. It sits deep inside the temporal lobe and its job is essentially to keep you alive. It scans every moment for threats and fires off alarm signals when something looks dangerous. It is your brain's smoke detector. Fast, automatic, and impossible to reason with once it goes off. Here is the thing about toddlers. Their amygdala is present. It is active. But it is running on almost no data. Joseph LeDoux, a neuroscientist at New York University who has spent decades studying the fear system, describes the amygdala as a learning machine. It does not come preloaded with fears. It acquires them. And it acquires them through exposure, through experience, and critically, through something called social referencing. Social referencing is the process by which young children look to the adults around them to determine how to feel about something new. Put a strange object in front of a 1-year-old and they will look at your face before they decide whether to approach or retreat. Your expression becomes their instruction manual. If you look calm, they go in. If you look alarmed, they pull back. This is why toddlers seem fearless. They have not yet accumulated enough experiences to fill their amygdala with data. Their threat library is nearly empty. Heights do not register as dangerous because no one has looked terrified at the sight of them yet. Dogs do not register as threatening because the library has no entry for dog. Strangers do not trigger alarm because the system is still brand new. They are not brave. They are blank. Now here is where it gets interesting. Around age 4 or 5, something shifts. A structure in the prefrontal cortex called the anterior cingulate cortex begins to come online. This region acts as a bridge between the emotional and the rational parts of the brain. It starts connecting what your child feels to what your child thinks. And suddenly, for the first time, they can anticipate consequences. Before this switch, a child runs toward the edge because the edge does not mean anything. After the switch, the edge starts to mean something. It means falling. Falling means pain. Pain means something to be avoided. But here is the twist that changes everything. The prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for judgment, consequence, and risk assessment, is the slowest structure in the brain to develop. It does not fully mature until a person's mid-20s. Which means there is a long, complicated gap between when the fear system starts filling up with data and when the rational brain can make sense of what to do with all of it. That gap is childhood anxiety. Researcher Linda Kagan at Harvard University spent years tracking children's emotional development and discovered that around age 6 or 7, children enter what she called the age of reason. They begin to understand that bad things can happen even when nothing is visibly wrong right now. They begin to project their imagination into the future. And the future, for a brain that now has a loaded threat library but a still developing prefrontal cortex, is a terrifying place. This is why your 7-year-old suddenly worries about death. It is why your 8-year-old loses sleep over whether you will pick them up on time. It is why the child who once leaped off every piece of furniture now needs 3 reassurances before they will try the water slide. The brain has learned fear faster than it has learned to manage it. There is another layer to this that most parents find shocking. Children do not only absorb fears from direct experience. They absorb them from you. A study led by psychologist Arne Ullman, one of the world's leading researchers on fear conditioning, found that primates, including humans, can acquire deep, lasting fears simply by watching others react with fear. His research showed that even a single observation of another individual reacting fearfully to a snake was enough to condition a lasting phobia. No direct contact. No personal trauma. Just a witnessed reaction. Your child watches how you respond to the dog that barks. To the turbulence on the plane. To the strange sound in the middle of the night. Their amygdala is recording all of it. This is not a parenting failure. It is a biological design feature. Fear transmission from adult to child is efficient because it is meant to be. For most of human history, learning which threats to avoid by watching someone else panic was far safer than learning through personal injury. Your child's brain was built to read your emotional state as survival data. But it creates a strange paradox in the modern world. The fears your child inherits from you may have nothing to do with the dangers they will actually face. A parent who freezes at the sight of a spider passes that freeze response to their child with extraordinary precision, even if spiders in their country are harmless. The threat library does not fact-check. It just files. So what does this mean for the fearless toddler who becomes the anxious 10-year-old? It means the change was always coming. It was always written into the architecture. The transition from fearless to fearful is not a sign that something went wrong. It is a sign that the brain is working exactly as it was designed to. The threat library is filling. The prefrontal cortex is building its connections. The brain is becoming a brain that can survive in a complicated world. The question is not how to stop the fear from arriving. The question is how you help your child build the mental scaffolding to carry it. Because here is what the research tells us. Children who are allowed to experience manageable fear, the mildly scary slide, the slightly intimidating new classroom, the nervousness before a performance, and who face it rather than retreat from it, build something neuroscientists call fear tolerance. Their amygdala learns that the alarm does not always mean disaster. Their prefrontal cortex gets practice turning the volume down. Psychologist Michael Davis at Emory University, who has spent decades studying fear extinction, found that the process of unlearning a fear requires the brain to form new memories on top of old ones. The original fear memory never disappears. But a stronger, more recent memory can override it. The way to build that new memory is not avoidance. It is exposure. It is standing at the edge of the diving board long enough for the brain to learn that the world did not end. This is why the child who is carried away from every frightening thing stays frightened. And why the child who is gently walked toward the thing they fear, again and again, in small safe doses, becomes something remarkable. Brave. Not because the fear left. But because the brain learned it could survive the fear. The toddler sprinting toward the cliff was never fearless in the way we admire courage. The amygdala simply had nothing on file. The 10-year-old frozen at the edge of the diving board has something far more complex inside them. A brain full of data. A body learning what alarm feels like. A prefrontal cortex slowly, gradually, brick by brick, building the circuitry that will one day look at that edge and say, I know what this is. I have been here before. I can do this. That is not the same as having no fear. That is something much more useful. That is a child learning, for the first time, what it means to be brave. And the next time you watch your toddler run straight toward a steep drop, no hesitation, no second thoughts, full speed and arms out, you are not watching fearlessness. You are watching a brain with nothing on file yet. An empty library. A threat detector with no threats recorded. You are watching the beginning of a story that will take 20 years to finish writing.